We're live.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, welcome to a brand new podcast. This is Pastor Jeremy, and I'm Pastor Mike, and welcome to the podcast we're calling Behind the Mic. It's going to be kind of a behind-the-scenes look into the life of our senior pastor, Jeremy White. And today is episode 1, so hey, welcome. You're the first ones who like us, so you can make comments and things like that if you like to. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey, we got Terry Bowman watching. Hey, Terry.
What's up, Terry? Thanks for watching. Tell all your friends, because right now you're our only friend out there. We're going to be talking about decisions today, and I just written some questions down that we're going to ask Pastor Jeremy, and we're just going to let you kind of look in behind the scenes of what goes on in his world. Is that cool with you?
I love it. Hey, I like the name. Behind the Mic. His name's Mike, so it's kind of fun.
This is the MIC.
Okay.
But anyway,
let's go.
Here we go. All right. Who just joined us there?
Donna Mills.
Donna Mills. Hey, welcome. Hey, Jim. Good to see you, man. Thanks
What's
for jumping
up,
in.
Jim?
All right, so here's my first question. You and I were in a lot of meetings together with like all the lead pastors around here at Stonewater, and we're discussing all kinds of things, especially about like how do we regather onto our campuses and kind of what's the decision process been like for you personally when we're not in those meetings? What's it like for you personally on that level?
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about regathering, and that's something that's near and dear to my heart. But it's been a hard decision because through this whole process, you're trying to love people really well, and this has been a very divisive issue.
Right.
So there's this whole spectrum of people. There's one group of people, and it may be you that there's one group of people that's upset that anything shut down.
Right.
And usually it's tied back to some hurt. They missed out on something. Maybe lost a job. Maybe they didn't get to have prom or graduation, or they didn't get to. There's some kind of hurt they missed out on, and or they may just be not agree with the whole situation. So they're on one side of the spectrum. Like, hey, we should still be gathering. We should still be going to our football games or basketball games. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is people that there's very real health issues. They're higher risk, and it's near and dear to them. So getting out at all is of concern, and for some very legit concerns. So like as a pastor, just being able to speak to both and to lead both well and to love both well has been very challenging and very difficult through the time. And so just a lot of prayer, a lot of conversations, and just wrestling with, hey, how do I connect and lead Billy Joe, who lost his job and is mad that Corona even is here,
Right.
And how do I lead and pastor, my grandmother who's at home and doesn't want any visitors at all,
Right.
So that's been the difficult thing.
Yeah, I can feel the weight of that as we've met. We've heard you talk about that.
Yeah.
So Sunday in the message, you mentioned you were asked by Ethan. He said, "Hey, so where are you wrestling with trying to figure out what God's will is?" And you said, it was about when to do it, when to regather on our campuses. And, we said, come out, and he said June 7th. I think that's the day. Mm-hmm. So knowing that was the day, but I want to talk about what was the process, right? Not just the personal weight you feel for loving people, but how did you seek out that, okay, God, I think this is the time, this is the day, this is when it's right? How did you find that peace?
Yeah, it's a great question. So through the whole process, I guess I first started wrestling with, okay, we're not gathering. We should regather in person. But Casey Oliver asked just a question in a meeting one day. He's like, why? What's the why? Casey always wants to know the why.
Exactly.
It was a great question. And so I started asking God that, asking others that. Hey, what's the why? Why is it important that we gather? And, of course, you go to Scripture and talks about not neglecting meeting together.
Right.
So we're commanded by God to gather together. We're
Right.
commanded to meet together. We're never stronger than when we're together. There's something special about just meeting together, the brotherly love, the family, just encouragement. I have a responsibility when I meet to encourage you. You have a responsibility to spur me on towards love and good deeds. So there's all these biblical reasons for gathering. It's just better. Someone said absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, someone else said out of sight, out of mind, and so, and that happens sometimes. But just understanding, hey, number one, there's biblical precedent that the Lord knew that coronavirus was going to take place when that was written in Scripture. It didn't surprise him. There's been pandemics before. There's been crisis before. So there's an urgency that we do need to meet together. But how do we do that safely? So I've talked to other pastors. I've been in a lot of Zooms. I've got really good on my Zooms now. I'm in a group of pastors around the United States. There's like 50 pastors on Zoom talking about what it looks like to regather. I've even got together with 7 pastors in Hood County. These are 7 of the larger churches here in Hood County, and I called a meeting of those guys, and we all met and talked about what it could look like, and as we start to regather. So going to Scripture, getting godly counsel from not only other pastors but our advisory board, leaders, pastors within the church. One of my favorite things through this whole process has been phone calls. So as a church, we've been calling people, and I personally made some phone calls of just people in our church, and just asking them, hey, what are your thoughts? Where are you at? On the spectrum of hey, I'm ready to meet, or hey, I don't want to get out of my house, and just seeing where the church is, and then and knowing how to kind of lead through that. And then of course watching the news. You got to be careful during times of crisis, what you listen to, your inputs, what goes in. But looking at data and seeing, okay, what are the real risks here? And so those were kind of the things that used to make those decisions.
I can imagine you had some walks on the property and
so Misty and I every morning after we meet with the pastors every morning at 7:00, and after that meeting I usually take a walk with Misty, and she's been my go-to. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, and so through all of that, you were kind of being able to discern and some idea that date came forward. And
as Governor Abbott started reopening Texas, it seems like people have been snowballing. Even if you get out, there's not as many masks as there was 3 weeks ago.
Right.
There's that awkward moment when you see someone where you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to shake your hand or high five you or knocks or wave. There's a lot more of those. As we look at the climate of just our culture, the people that we're in, and just knowing there's this biblical mandate, how do we navigate that? This past Sunday I talked about when you come to that, just having a peace. And I felt like there was a peace when it came to June 7th. It may have even been a little slower than what we typically do. When, like at Stonewater, we're going to go for it. We're going to take risk. But when it's a congregation, I really want to use wisdom and show the most love possible.
Yep. So early on, you kind of talked about, hey, there's looking at this whole comeback thing. You talked about people at different spectrums, polarized, things like that. And I'm sure you get a lot of input, just not from the groups you talk to, but people stop you and go, hey, Jeremy, I think you ought to, why haven't we? But how have you kept, what is your motivation for going, this regathering of us, it's important that we wrestle with it, important we make the right decision. And how have you kept, what's been that motivation, and how have you kept that really pure when there's been pressure to do something maybe faster than you're comfortable with? Or
it's funny. You can't, so God's not called me to make everybody happy, okay? God's called me to lead His church. And there's a difference there. Just like you're not called to, if you're watching, you got kids, you're not called to make your kids happy if you're a parent. You can never make your kids happy, but you can lead them. And that's what God's called me to do as a pastor. So we're called to lead. I think what's kept me on track or kept me focused throughout this whole thing is just understanding what the church is. Through this whole coronavirus crisis, one of the things that has had pause with me is people start to believe that the church is a service. Hey, I went to church because I watched the online service. That's the online service is not the church. The church is a body of believers that come together to spur one another on towards love, towards good deeds. That we're called to encourage one another. That we're called to carry out this mission that Christ has given us, to love others and to bring them into the family. That the church is not a service that we go to. The church is not a building that we build or walk into every week. That the church really is people. And so understanding, I guess for me, just reminding myself constantly that the church is people. That's kind of helped keep my focus. The other thing is I get tired of preaching to a camera, man. Oh my gosh, like that. I cannot wait to preach to people in person. So today we got to have our first staff meeting back in person.
Yes.
We weren't in Zoom, and I could have gone on preaching, man. I was having fun up there.
It was good.
So yeah.
Well, that's great insight, because I think for all of us, right there, it's that guard our heart, do what's wise, and stay true to the things God's given us to do. So as of right now, this is Tuesday, May 19th. What's the Stonewater comeback plan?
Yeah, so I think that's good. Like as of now, what's the plan? Because one thing we've learned throughout this whole time is you can't make plans. Yeah. So here's the plan right now. We're going to first meet on June the 7th. We're going to regather at every one of our campuses. We're having 2 services, 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock.
9 o'clock and 11.
That's every campus, Granbury included, 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And it's going to be family-style service. So picture yourself coming in. We're going to have rows set up, and you just leave 2 seats between your family and another family. And it's going to be a great Sunday. I'm excited about that Sunday. We're having a new series that will be kicked off that day called The Comeback. And so that'll be fun as well. But yeah, that's what we're moving towards. June the 7th will be our first Sunday to regather at every one of our campuses, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That gives us time to clean between services. We'll also, in Granbury, people have asked me, hey, are we going to have enough room? We're going to have enough room for everybody? Yes, we will have enough room. We have the big service. We have the coffee house, which we're in right now, and it's twice the size that it used to be. We have the Elevate Lodge right next to us, and then we also have Wildwoods where we will be able to put people as well. So we have more than enough room to accommodate people on a Sunday morning. And just to let everybody know, churches that have already been reopening, it looks like about 50% of the people is who's coming back like the first week or so. So don't be concerned. There's going to be room. Dad, if you're listening, there will be a seat for you. My dad was a little fearful. He's like, I don't want to take up somebody's seat. There will be a seat for everybody on service. So that'll be on the 7th, June the 7th.
And we're doing things to prepare for that comeback, right?
Yes.
So what kind of things are we
okay,
going?
So here's the deal. If you want to get in on the very first service, all right, it's like the service before the service. All you have to do is serve. But if you want to be a part of that, on May the 31st, we're going to have training day. So one of the things we have to do is retrain all of our volunteers and all of our leaders, like include me and you. We got to get trained too. So there's going to be new protocols. Like for instance, first week we're probably not going to handshake. So we got to work on our wave or our. This is my wave right here. I love you, man. Sorry, I can't hug you right now, but I can do this because, like for instance, we don't want somebody to feel like they're going to be touched at church or they have to touch anything. So they're just some
Let's start a new
like
TikTok dance or something.
Yeah, I don't know. So there you go. But yeah, so that'll be on the 31st. So if you're not on a serve team and would like to be on a serve team, just show up on May the 31st at 9 o'clock here at the Granbury campus or at any of our campuses. At every one of our campuses, we're going to have training day that day. We'll actually have a real service. We'll have some music, have a message, and then we're going to break up into our groups and train. So even if you're not on a team, you can be a part of that.
Cool. So what can our Stonewater families then do if they're not able to be here on the 31st? What can they do to get ready for the comeback on June 7th?
Yeah. So one thing I would tell you is work on your wave. Okay. So work on your wave. So but no, seriously. As you come, just plan on coming on either 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock. I encourage you to call your community group and come to service with your community group. I encourage you, like, as you come, like, just know it's going to be a little different. Okay, like, that's okay. This is phase 2. We're not in phase 3. Our children's ministry's not open yet, so you're going to be setting with your family. So just kind of know that as you come. You may even want to get here early, just so you can come and get a feel of the way of the land and everything. So those are some of the things I'd tell you. You got any? Did I leave out anything?
I was to say, man, mark your calendar. Don't miss this day. I think it's going to be a really exciting day. I think, right? The staff getting together today was like exciting. We all see each other face to face for the first time, and I think that's going to be a really exciting day. So do mark your calendar and make sure you don't miss the time change at 9 and 11. Be here for that. And really, I think it'd be cool to be on the front end and actually do some serving, right?
Yeah.
Get in and learn the new protocols of the way we're trying to love people better as they come and gather. And
can I jump in there, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, here's why that's really important, guys. Just to be serious, there are a lot of our servers, a lot of our volunteers that they're at high risk, and they're not going to come back for a while, and that's because of their health. And so we need some people to fill the gap and take those spots. So if you're willing to fill the gap and say, you know what, I hadn't been serving, but I could hold a door open. I could help someone find their seat. I could pour coffee and hand coffee to somebody. Like, I could do that. So I want to encourage you to come and join. It's a great time to join the team and be in on the front end of that. So there is a real need. Half of our volunteers will be coming later. So we need some people right on the front end.
Yep, because we want to love them well and say, man, you take the time you need until you feel like God said, hey, come back. But for all of us who can, let's come back and let's show them, hey, we got their back. We got them covered. And I do think it's going to be a great day. We're going to have a great message that day. We're going to love being back together, but it's going to be really exciting to have you all back with us. So, hey, great. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching us for the first episode of Behind the Mic. Be watching on a weekly basis, and you'll see us live on Facebook. And
hey, can I tell one other thing, Mike?
Oh, you're the pastor.
All right. Hey, guys, one other thing. We're having a concert in the parking lot on June the 3rd. June the 3rd, band setting up concert right here in Granbury. I think there's actually going to be concerts at all the campuses, but I only know the one in Granbury is going to be the 3rd. So you may want to even mark your calendars for that as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a
little
good
bonus.
One. There you go, 7 o'clock. Thanks for joining us, man. We hope you have a great week. God bless you. Look forward to seeing you on the 31st and then back on June 7th.